What else can be done with misfits like this?
Well, they're not just a cavalcade of misfits. They're a cavalcade of puppets. Actually, what they are, their only qualification is to totally relinquish any self-respect, any, obviously, the reckless behavior that Mike Waltz showed when it comes to our national security and safety. He knows better. The only requirement they have is to be a puppet for Donald Trump and channel and do whatever he wants at the moment he wants it. And they all roll over. Every Republican caves to Trump every time. You saw it in reconciliation with Lisa Murkowski and the carve-out for Alaska and Medicaid, and you're about to see it in rescissions tonight or tomorrow when you see the senators from South Dakota get a special carve-out for tribal communities who rely on public broadcasting for weather. We've seen the weather in Texas. My God. They rely on public broadcasting for weather and safety information. So when it comes to healthcare and public safety, they're happy pulling their own states, and they say, screw everybody else. That's not what we're supposed to do when it comes to public safety and when it comes to healthcare. They're a cavalcade of puppets, and every one of my Republican colleagues caves to Trump every time. That's where we're at.
You know, you mentioned rescissions. We want to get to it because it's, you know, it's money that they already, it's like literally the federal government
appropriated
they're going in to reach into the bank accounts and grab the money back, it feels like. It's crazy. But on Mike Waltz, you know, I really just feel like he should not be afforded the opportunity to fail up. And I thought that he was fired, and it seems to me that you also had questions about this. This was the exchange between the two of you today on this question.
Can you confirm for us whether you've been receiving a salary from the White House since being let go at the NSA?
Thank you, Senator. I was not fired. The president never said that, nor did the vice president. With
So
the Senate's
you're saying that you were not dismissed from your role, as was publicly reported, because it's also been publicly reported that you've been receiving almost $200,000 of the taxpayer money since you were dismissed from being the national security advisor.
Well, the reporting, Senator, is fake news, which shouldn't surprise anyone. The president was clear. His announcement was, I will nominate
fake news
Mr.
can't
Waltz,
be the
and the vice president was quite clear.
So we're going to move on.
To quote Alicia Menendez in the break, talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. So Mike Waltz was removed of his duties of being the national security advisor, yet he was still getting paid on the taxpayer's dime. And I worked at the White House. Nobody, when I worked at the White House, was making more than $184,000 because I was the cap that Congress put on us at the time. So I'm confused about how, in his short time, he's been making more than $200K.
Well, I think the whole thing about Trump and his cabinet full of billionaires, is still sucking the money from the American taxpayers. So here he is ousted, now fired. Everyone knows if you get fired from a job, do you continue to collect your paycheck? There is no person in America that believes that. And if so, then I suppose people should go back to their former bosses if they were ever fired. I was going to say that's a good kind of fire. You don't have to show up and we'll still keep paying you. You did a terrible job. Did a terrible job, no less. Put our national security and safety at risk. And you can't, and I'm going to talk about what he said about fake news. It's kind of like your kids telling you the dog ate my homework if you're a teacher. You can only go to that well so many times before it's absolutely ridiculous. Everything is not fake news. It's not fake news if you don't agree with it. Just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean it ain't true. And so his answer, his ridiculousness, his recklessness, all of it, he is not qualified for this job. And I said they want to look at waste, fraud, and abuse. They have to look no further than in the mirror. And I could list down Elon Musk. Great. Doge is great. But how about the billions of dollars of contracts that his companies get? And I'm sure if we went down the list of some of the other cabinet members or other folks in the Trump world, they're all getting their money on the back of the taxpayer.
I want to pivot to another confirmation hearing happening on Capitol Hill, and that's Emil Bovee, who is up for a lifetime appointment to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. A number of your colleagues said, listen, we have this whistleblower report from someone at DOJ who says that Bovee, in essence, said F the courts. Just like, don't pay attention to them. We're going to do what we want to do when it comes to deporting a number of folks to El Salvador to CCOT prison. Your colleagues say we should have a hearing about this. We should ask some questions before we give this man a lifetime appointment. Just as we were coming on air, you have Chuck Grassley saying, in essence, thanks, but no thanks. We are not going to have any additional hearings here. I know that isn't surprising to you, right? But I at some point feel that the Republicans who are giving a pass to all of this then need to have responsibility for the 200 plus people who have been disappeared from this country. If you don't have any questions about what is happening to them, if you don't want to hold Emil Bovee responsible, then where do you believe responsibility lies?
Well, I want to say this. How old do you have to be before you finally stand up for yourself and stand up for what is right? Clearly, it's not in your 90s. I mean, at what point of your life do you say, I'm going to do what is the right thing? Chuck Grassley knows what the right thing is. Again, he's caving to Donald Trump. And I'm sorry, disappearing people, this is what's happened in history time and time again. We saw it in World War II. About 100 years ago, 80-some years ago. And so not being able to ask the questions that we need to, having someone who flies in the face of our justice system and just says F you to our entire justice system that we're admired for around the world, that admiration is going down the tubes. And Chuck Grassley, if you're over 90 years old and you can't stand up for what is right, then when the hell can anybody stand up? When do you feel free? He's not building a career. He's already built that. He's not working for his next job. Come on.
I mean, these are the facts, Senator Rosen. Ooh.